in my first term in 1981, I got very involved with the cause of Soviet Jewry. I traveled to the Soviet Union several times. 82, met with Sharansky's mother when he was in great distress in the Gulag. And it just, that coupled with a previous thought, I had met a member or a survivor of the Holocaust when I was 12. I used to come in and eat at a luncheonette right where I lived. And I remember hearing him tell his story. My father got my brothers and I together and he told his story. And I was so touched, especially when he showed us, his number. And the other major reason is my faith. I'm a Catholic, and I do believe that we need to be our brothers and sisters' keeper. I love the Old Testament. I have many friends who are very devout Jewish people, grew up that way. So I always had this strong affinity for all things related to Judaism, and coupled with the fact that there's been so much oppression targeted for so many centuries, really millennium.
What would you say would be the biggest threat to the Jewish people today?
Well, I think it's multifaceted. It is the rising tide of anti-Semitism that is both based on an anti-Zionist view, an anti-Israeli view, which is really just a cover. It's a mask for the old traditional anti-Semitism, hate based on faith, based on an identification as a Jew. I think Al-Qaeda, I think the Wahhabis, one of the more extreme sects of Islam, are preaching such unbridled hatred all over the world. It makes it difficult for all people of faith, but especially for the Jews, who are so often scapegoated. We saw that in the prelude to the Second World War and the Holocaust. And those myths persist year in and year out, decade in, decade out. And my hope is that education, moral suasion, much prayer, because I do believe in the power of prayer, and constantly exposing to the light and scrutiny. Light's a great disinfectant. And when you expose these kinds of very deep and dark hatreds, hopefully they won't be passed on to the next generation. But I'm very fearful through the internet and through other means that the next generation of anti-Semites are being grown. And I have talked to many of these students myself all over the world, including in Israel. Young people who just were filled with anti-Semitic hate. And it's like, what is this all about? There's a famous line in South Pacific, that Rodgers and Hammerstein, great musical. And the song is, "You've got to be taught." And it's all about being taught hatred, and it's got to be passed on. Well, let's break that cycle. Once and for all time, let's do it as people of faith, but also as humanitarians and human rights activists. Lawmakers have a strategic position, like clergy, like rabbis, like imams, but a strategic position to write laws that create a minimum tolerance and acceptance of what is behavior that will be acceptable. Anti-Semitism falls clearly on the other side of that, and then some. And then when it manifests in actually hateful acts of desecration and murder and beatings, there needs to be a very significant uptick in prosecutions to stop that.
So what are you hoping that this conference can achieve?
Well, I think just meeting, as we do, gets everyone refocused on all the newest forms that this ancient form of hatred is taking. It gets us all revived. I mean, we're all close personal friends, and that helps because we feed off each other. We learn from each other, best practices especially. The symbiotic relationship with the Jewish community is also absolutely essential because, again, they have been, whether it be the B'nai B'rith, American Jewish community, Canadian Jewish, whatever, they've been the chroniclers, and they've been shouting from the rooftops, things must be done. This is a matter of social justice. And added to that, this very group, the ICCA, is designed to try to build task forces or working groups or a caucus inside each parliament all over the world, so that you get people, hopefully of all sides of the aisle, Democrat, Republican in our case, and we do have an combating anti-Semitism task force, to work together to look for ways to increase our effectiveness through law and through oversight of the executive branch to ensure that this effort is being robustly engaged in. Otherwise, indifference will lead to more acts of anti-Semitic hate. So indifference is not an option. Silence is not an option. We have to be very aggressive and have to do it every day.